Hi YouTube. I hope you're doing okay. I'm having an okay day. Yesterday was a pretty big one. I did end up grilling and smoking those pork steaks and making cream peas and all kinds of housework and stuff. So, yeah, got a lot done. It's really warm here today. It's kind of cloudy and gloomy. It's about 85 degrees, which isn't too bad. I mean, I like it, but uh, I heard this morning, and I couldn't find an article on it. I had heard Harris Faulkner from Fox News had mentioned that the director of the Ways and Means Committee for the um, Tribal Native American Indian Affairs had got caught like swindling money from them or something, some kind of um, illegal activity with their funds that they were supposed to be getting. And then I couldn't find an article on it, and I tried writing different things, like wording it certain ways, so I spent a little bit of time doing that, and I couldn't come up with anything, and I've only heard this in one area, so I don't know. Uh, yeah, but I think that's rather disturbing, and also um, the IRS is going after some Native American tribes that, and I don't know how they could, being that they're a sovereign nation, that they would have any dealings with any of their um, monetary workings on their own, in their own, on their own land, yeah. So, anyway, then I had on my mind these spiritualists that instead of wording things like they say working on like shadow work with the how did they word it, like the God within you, not, or they said like worded it, making it sound like they're they were God within themselves, is how a lot of spiritualists would articulate that, or whatever. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm a little foggy today, but um, yeah, maybe I think too I got a little bit overheated. I don't know. I have no clue. But yeah, and tired. And then I was thinking, I don't really know what I'm going to talk about today, so I just thought, well, I'll just push record and take it from there. That's. And my phone has been ringing off the hook. Some of them are like 800 numbers and everything, but today has been entirely crazy with that. And Doug had gotten up earlier, way earlier, and unplugged both our phones. Their landlines run off a satellite, and unplugged the pump, but the phone rang anyway, because I guess he didn't realize that he would have to literally detach them from the line. But he tried to just turn off the electric, but his machine allowed it to ring anyway. So yeah, I think he wanted to get some rest and not get woke up by these telemarketers or whoever they are. So one time, it was, oh, maybe about a year ago, he was teaching like Pakistani people how to swear. you know, and then when they'd call them back, they would tell them F you too. And they were learning fluent slang, you know. It's like, well, and I told him I thought it was funny because he's the one who taught him. I mean, at least in our house, he's the one that I usually say, like, no, thank you, or I'll answer the phone and not even say anything, but don't call here anymore and I'll hang up. But I don't swear at him, you know. So he hasn't for a long time, but that was last year. Yeah, he's got his little Dodge truck running, working on the truck and the tractor, a couple different things that need to be done. That's just a truck he's putting together that um, we got just to build a vehicle, you know, restoration work and metal fab and body work is what he's not really a mechanic, although both of us can do mechanical, but it's not our favorite things to do. So, yeah. So that will be the noise that you're hearing in the background. Yeah. And them steaks were really good. Super good. I have enough for today, so I don't have to worry about making anything. And I didn't have any sugar last night either, so it's been a few days. I had been having some like every other day, and now I think I'm gonna try and get myself down to like once a week. Like I used to do, I would have a treat like on Friday or Saturday, like a candy bar or a dessert or something like that, but not every day, you know, to keep that sugar out of my system as much as possible, you know. And then with fasting every day, I'm getting rid of all the bad stuff in me anyway. So, and detoxing. Yeah, I take sweet wormwood. I had been, and I still have some in case I need it for another time. But I have it's a two-part detox system with hydrochloric acid and yeah, hydrogen. No, it's like a chloride two-part mixture, and um, that works too. But yeah, it helps with carcinogens and heavy metals or whatever we ingest that we don't want in us, you know, or we do. So, yeah, just trying to take care of myself on, you know, as good as I can and still enjoy my life, you know, without being too harsh on myself. And I had been for a long, long time. I mean, as far as being really strict. And I figured, well, too, and my kids, I didn't really buy like candy and chips and soda. My kids didn't grow up with all that stuff. So when they got on their own and I'd see them like drinking sodas or whatever, I'm thinking, geez, I don't know. I occasionally will have some, but it's usually like I'll have a root beer float once or twice a year. That'll be it. That's about my soda consumption, you know. Did you know you can take, what is it now? It's called, um, just a sec, um, tonic water. So if you get bottles of tonic water and, or it could be seltzer water, but tonic water has, quinine in it, which is actually like it guards you from parasites. It's like what they use for malaria. which is actually can be made out of grapefruit rinds. I know how to make it. But anyway, so you can take this tonic water or a seltzer water and just plain juice, and you can turn like a grape or grape juice or orange juice into a soda. Only it's like not not like the junk you buy full of oh who knows what's in it type of thing, you know. And that's pretty good, not bad. So yeah, I really, I mean, I know people are arrogant and they have really huge egos, but how could they possibly think that they are God? You know, I don't know. They can't create anything. Like you can't just with a word create something, you know, and they don't see the possibility that God actually did do that. Well, it's pretty miraculous, and they're not full of miracles like that, but yet they keep insisting they're God, you know, like the God within them, not the God that is in you, but, you know, yeah, whatever. I think you know what I mean. It's pretty sickening. Their egos, and they just have a really hard time calling God our Father. You know, they just hate it. I don't know why. You know, if you didn't have parents, I mean really did not have parents, you would be so happy that somebody would claim you as their own, but these people, it's like they're insulted by it somehow. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyhow. So, do you find it odd that people, you know, even these people who call themselves like Christ, they'll be talking about Christ and they'll point to themselves and I mean, yeah, Christ within us, but these people are like actually claiming that. And it's like, I know you're not him, you know, unless I know you are, you know. But I mean, no. I mean, how many preachers have you listened to that actually insinuate that that's who they are? You know, yeah, there's a lot of them, you know, and like they say, and if they're not Christ, are they Antichrist? Well, if they're not claiming the Father is separate from them and that they are Christ and they're one and the same, yeah, okay. There's a lot of YouTubers that are like that. Oh, and that reminds me. Derek Bros was going to get up he's called Willing Witness now. He was going to get up and start talking about the mind parasite, the worms that can be controlled by Satan. He was talking about it, but he wasn't telling anybody how to guard yourself from that, like to detox and have God in our heart, and the more we do, the less controllable we are. I think it's really important if you're going to talk on the microbiology level, you might want to get an expert on your side to talk about those type of things. Maybe a spiritual expert and maybe an actual microbiologist, a doctor that has studied these types of things that would know how the neurons are affected in our mind by these parasites. And he hasn't been back up talking about it. after I was basically like, whatever, buddy. I mean, I had him so pissed. He was like seething like a demon, you know. So I wonder what happened to him. So I know what happened to him. I'm kind of being a smartass with that because, yeah, he's not qualified to talk about it. I mean, he can a little bit, and he showed a scar of where he had an actual worm. What that looked like to me was a roundworm or a heartworm that you get from dogs. If you don't worm your dog, you can get these parasites that your pets have if you don't worm your animals. So, I mean, if you have dogs or cats, you might want to look into worming them every few months because these are real things. There's tapeworm, roundworm, hookworm. Um, there's what are they called? Pinworms. Um, all kinds of different parasites that animals carry that human beings don't typically carry, but you will get even from an animal licking you. When people let their dogs like lick all over babies' faces and sleep with babies, dogs and cats, I just cringe. It just it just drives me crazy. I can't stand it, you know, because they don't understand, or they do. But yeah, these bugs are controlled by satanic forces. They can take anything that isn't naturally good for a human being and use it from the ether, different types of things. It's like Jason from Archaics is just learning of different materials that are bad for human beings to wear, like rayon or nylon. There's different reasons. They can be, uh, you know how you get like static cling? Well, these things that can be really static clingy are also, that's how the electric works in our bodies with this clothing on us. And there's even like heavy metals and the toxins that they put in these materials that are harming people. And I realized that, oh, probably well, I knew it a long, long time ago with different materials that I was allergic to as a kid, like wool or nylon, that type of stuff. I could tell how I would break out if I put it on and um, right next to my skin. So I mean, yeah, these are all real things that it's done intentionally, and our government doesn't care that it's happening to us. That's the hell of it, you know. So, so, yeah, so he's just learning about that. Good to know. It really is. Especially, I would say, like on newborns, watch like what you put on your little kids, you know? Because what if something your child had on drew more electric to that child and more disturbances on that child's mind just from the clothing that they had on, you know? I personally try to wear as much just cotton or like a Muslim type of cloth, um, especially in the summer. But yeah, it is nylons and rayons, those and acrylic. They're plastic, you know, and they have toxins, and they're highly flammable. You know, all these things, and the dyes they put in them. Like I can't wear black socks or I shouldn't. I mean, I can wear them, but I probably shouldn't because the dye that the black is made out of is hard on my skin. And I can tell the difference the minute I'll put something on. Like, I know people that can just take socks out of a pack and put them on and not have any problem, but I'm not like that. I have to wash everything, sometimes several times before it feels comfortable, you know. So, yeah. Anyway, from what I know, you have less foot fungus or chance of that if you wear just white socks, especially if you get older and you have like problems with your veins or your feet or whatever. You're less likely to have problems if you wear just white, you know. So I did buy a bunch of wool socks. They were a mix. They're rayon and wool mixed, and I got them to put in my hiking boots for winter. Um, I can't wear them, not next to my skin anyway. I'm going to see if my grandchildren can wear them. If they can wear them, I'll send them out to them. I've got a pack of like, I think there's 2 dozen in there. I had ordered, you know. I had ordered them where I was going to give Doug all the like black ones and gray ones, brown ones, and keep all the lighter color ones. There was like tan and white and um, brown and green or something like that. And I was going to split them with him. And, but he didn't like them either. I don't know. I think too because his foot's wider, maybe they were uncomfortable. I don't know. But so anyway, got all these brand new socks that I can't wear because the wool has lanolin in it, and that's what I'm allergic to. It's the actual oil. It's like when I was working out on ranches, and if we were working with the sheep, you have to wear gloves and long sleeves. Um, Even people that aren't allergic to lanolin, because it will affect you. You'll break out. It's like sheep shearing, especially on hot days, is hard work to run the sheep in and get them to stand still in this on this little. It's like a podium. You run them up, and then they stand there, and the sheep shearer just shears all their wool off, and they look kind of funny. And then they pack it up in bundles, bale it, and send it off to be processed to make material out of it. Um, when I was a kid, we had a couple spinning wheels. One that my dad had fixed, and another one, and they were actually workable spinning wheels. I learned how to actually make yarn, you know. And I used to weave and oh, I did all kinds of stuff like beadwork and yeah, leather work, um, metal work. I used to do like make jewelry um, with oh, I'd even use like I'd buy booklets of gold leaf, and then I'd make something and I'd overlay it with gold leaf. So stuff like that. Just keeping busy in my room because I really did not socialize with anybody unless I was forced to do it. And that's a real thing. And I was forced to do a lot of things I didn't want to do, but I did, you know. I mean, sometimes I did. Depended on what it was. Like I was a bluebird and a campfire girl. It's like the Boy Scouts, only better. So anyway, I excelled a lot, really well in that, and had a lot of fun. Because we would go camping and, that type of thing. Anytime I could get out of the city when I was a little kid, I was happy. Even if it was a bad day or if I was with people that weren't very pleasant or whatever, I still had a better day out in the country than I would in the city. And we lived on the edge of the city. It wasn't like we had traffic. We lived on a dead end, actually, so there was no through traffic. There was my grandpa next door and my cousins next door to that. On that whole side of the block, there was only one person on the corner that we weren't related to, so yeah, it was pretty private. My grandpa had quite a bit of land on the edge of the city, so we could snowmobile, and my brother had a motorcycle when we were kids. Yeah, it was pretty funny. Somebody stole his motorcycle, and then they had it for sale, and my dad worked for the city, so he's in his city vehicle and he's driving around like the northern part of the city, and he sees my brother's bike for sale in these people's lawn. That was pretty wild, you know. Imagine getting busted like that. Wow. Yeah. So in some ways I kind of had it good as a kid, not as far as any family was concerned. I mean, not really, but in my own little world, reading a lot, doing a lot of arts and crafts, and just keeping busy. Then I started working when I was really young so I could buy a lot of things that I wanted and do a lot of things that other kids couldn't do, like get on a bus and go see like a double feature movie on a Saturday. Um, I go to this one theater. It was so cool. It was made out of copper and it was round, and it had like a lobby area, and then even in the women's bathroom they had or right off of it was where the lobby was, and I'd go smoke cigarettes and then go see another movie, and I just loved it, you know. Well, sometimes a friend would go with me. We'd meet up on a bus or meet at a theater and see a movie. One friend in particular that I did lose touch with, or she lost touch with me, is more like it. But yeah, our moms were friends. I think they were too close, those kind of friends, but I can't prove anything. And this could be part of why this person doesn't really like me, because they're sort of like that too. So I don't know. But she would even go to church with me sometimes because she wasn't raised in one, and she did like it. I don't know. They had a pretty cool church. They had added a new part onto it that was like all modern with glass and big glass windows. And but the old part was made out of stone, and it had a steeple with the bells in it, and the stained glass windows in it are actually still there. Just incredibly beautiful. So, and one of my favorite things to do was just spend time in the church cleaning the church when nobody was there. Sometimes it was a little spooky, to be honest. But yeah. Just a second. Hey, I'm making a video just so you know. The water might come on. That's okay. He didn't hear. He's got to wash his hands. He's probably got gas on him or something anyway. So, yeah, it lasts about 2 minutes, I think. And yeah, so anyway, my church would become a little spooky when I was there alone. One time, and I was drinking at a really young age because I had a father that would give me shots of whiskey when I was 5 in front of their friends, and they'd laugh how I could just down it and go like my dad would do, go after he drank it. It's like, oh, that wasn't good, no. But yeah, I had a tendency to like sneak some of his stuff and then put water in it, and then when he wanted a highball with whiskey and water, I would just pour that into the glass, so he didn't really know. Yeah. And then one time I drank some of a friend of mine and me at church drank some of the wine from it was supposed to be for communion, what the pastor would drink, So, yeah, in some ways I was a little shit like that, but not usually. But I had my moments. I really don't blame myself because no adult should be giving children, I mean really tiny children, anything to drink. Alcoholic. No. I mean, I know like in Germany, in their culture, even children will drink like the home brew, they'll drink it with their meal. It's actually a part of their culture, so it's a little bit different, or it used to be from what I understand, but that wasn't what this was, you know. So. Yes, it does. I am making a video, but that's okay. We heard your truck start up. We heard your truck start up.
Yeah. Well, good news. The tractor blew the top radiator hose.
Oh, want to say hi,
Couldn't say
YouTube?
it. Hey, YouTube. Come fix my tractor. Come fix my truck.
Yeah,
Come fix my Jeep.
yeah.
Come fix my dump truck. And I lost track of the road. Anyway, it's a good day.
Yeah,
We're sucking air.
yeah.
That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I told him you were working on different things. Yeah, it does look like rain. Wouldn't doubt it. Maybe it won't, though. Sometimes it just gets cloudy like this and just stays like gloomy all day long. But does it bug anybody else that this spirituality thing? I mean, I know people are put off by religions and stuff, but doesn't it seem like they're going overboard? Like, um, almost like throwing the baby out with the bathwater type of feeling, like they have to deny God so bad that they're taking everything that actually are like good laws and rules for people to live by and totally ignoring them with this new way of thinking, you know. I don't know, it does bother me. I don't know. Cheers, everybody. Yeah. I mean, I as far as what they do personally, you would think, well, why would I care? Well, I care because this is their souls. If they get set behind by some self-proclaimed guru, you know, then 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 what? I would say if I had to pick like one, two people now, if I could pick one from the past and one from the present for people to learn anything from present, I would pick Archaics, Jason from Archaics, with language and history and chronology and all of that. And from the past, I would pick 33-degree Grandmaster Mason Manly P. Hall, also a minister. He has had so much information in his lectures, and he talks about physics and alchemy and oh, you name it, and God, and he does not leave Christ out of the picture, does not leave the Trinity out of the picture. Everything that he taught people, that it was all encompassed. So it's like, yeah. So those are the two that I would recommend to anybody. I would just say look up Manly P. Hall and listen to one of his videos. Just pick a topic, and I think you would be impressed, you know? Because I don't see that he was a liar. There's a lot of people that have like affiliations with Masons or those whatever, whether it's Scottish Rite or whoever, whatever, Jesuit, I don't care. The affiliates, right down to Moose Lodges, Lions, whoever, Coronis, there's a lot. Skull and Bones, blah, 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 all of them. All the affiliates um, have a tendency to be liars, you know, and that does not only insult my intelligence, but it gets me on the radar when I hear these people spreading lies. And I know if God's talking to my heart or your heart, he's talking to their heart too, so they know. I'm of the belief that we are born knowing right from wrong unless we have um, physical, mental injuries that keep us from doing right or wrong. But I think the further we push God out of our way, the farther we get away from his instruction, the more lost we're going to be as human beings, you know? And I don't know why anybody would want to do that to themselves, to deny the God within themselves. Yeah. You know, that they would have so much hatred for their own creator, like that they're worshiping the creation more than the creator. And even that word worship, I mean, even throw that out the window. How about praise or honor or respect, gratitude? I mean, there's a lot of words that we could put in that instead of worship. That's kind of kind of hokey anyway, if you know what I mean. God does not want anybody to worship him, not like that, no. Praise? Oh, heck yeah, why not? When we praise our parents or our children or somebody we loved, if they did a good job on something, we'd be like, hey, that's absolutely cool, you know? Give them some praise, you know? Why not? Yeah, if you can't praise the creator of all, I don't have any respect for you, you know? I think that's a big deal, and I think people are lost because say if you have a parent that was hurt when they were younger and they couldn't see the good in the world because of the pains they went through, and then they pass those pains on to you, how are you going to pull yourself out of that? Unless you were close with God the whole entire time, you might stray, but you're not going to go entirely bonkers, you know? So, yeah. So what else you want to know about me? So anyway, so then when I got to be in my teens, I would rarely ever drink. I injured myself one time. Friends had a party for me when I was moving, and I drank all kinds of liquor and beer and stuff, different kinds, and got really sick and almost killed myself. And some other bad things happened, and it was not a good thing. And then I went, several years. I would just, like, if people went to the bar, I'd go with them and I'd have, like, a soda, but I wouldn't even drink the whole thing, you know, I just going along for the company. And then when I was in my 20s, I started drinking to get drunk, and I would go out dancing a lot, so I'd have a few drinks and then just dance all night long. So I wasn't really drinking to get drunk, drunk, like not a sloppy drunk, but just kind of loose and happy, you know, and not loose like, you know, I typically, um, I always desired to be in a close relationship, whether the person I was with felt the same way or not, you know, like my ex and I. We spent a lot of our, well, all of our 20s together into our half of our 30s, and couldn't stand them anymore, and that's about it. But yeah. But then when I became a mother, that changed. You can't, well, people do drink and raise their children, but yeah, that wasn't a big thing in my life at that point. You know, I would occasionally have something, but not to party, or I never wanted to be inebriated. So this is what got me not wanting to be like that, is watching somebody else so stoned by whatever that they couldn't even respond if their child was crying. That feeling, just that alone, kind of woke me up to what I didn't want to do in my life, you know. So yeah. Doug's cat is crying. He's got this what we call a, well, we call it monkey. It's a monkey. It's a really long stuffed animal monkey. Real light. It's made for animals, and it's a animal toy. Well, he picks up this monkey and he carries it around the house yelling like that for Doug when he goes out. Yeah, you having a bad day? No? Did Doug go out? Do you want to come and say hi to people? No? You don't know? He doesn't know. He's just crying. Crying 'cause your Doug went outside, huh? Yeah. He really enjoyed, we almost lost Bobby, Doug's cat. 2 years ago, we got really, really sick and we took him to the veterinarian. They gave him some medicine. They put him on intravenous feeding and they said that it was a thyroid problem. They didn't really help him very much and pretty much sent him home to die. But I don't know, we both know a little bit about biology in animals too, and we did a lot of reading, and I don't know. It is typical for cats to have thyroid problems when they get to be a little older, like 11 and 12. I think Bobby's going to be 13 in September 30th, I think, somewhere around in there. So he's getting a little bit older, but yeah, he's doing great now. His weight's got back on, so I chopped up a whole bunch of steak for him and took some of my cream peas, and so he had quite a bit of that, and that's way better than any kitty food anyway. So yeah, that's what I really saved his life was the whole past year. Before I would even eat, I would take what I was eating, like if it's protein and meat, whatever, and chop some up for him first and make sure he started eating. Because a lot of the dog and cat foods, if you've seen how that is processed, and the stuff they literally put poison. There's like strychnine in there. If you saw how cat and dog food was processed, if you have, it would really gross you out. You wouldn't even want to feed it to your pet, you know? So, and it's mostly grains, you know, and chemicals, and so it's really not very good for them. So, yeah, we try to limit what they have as far as crunchies, kitty food, because that's really some of the worst stuff, and we try to buy a little better one and then get them some canned food and then supply like real food. Like I'll take, if we're having a roast and carrots or whatever, I will take that and some of the juice and make a kitty plate for him. And I really think that's what saved his life, giving him real stuff, because they're trying to kill your animals. They are. Just think of all the heartbreak people in, just to take the United States for instance, if every one of them had a pet die in the next couple years or so, think of the lower vibration these people would be in sorrow with all that, unless they can pull themselves out of that. It's not an easy thing to do. First, right after my birthday a couple years ago, my cat died. And then my horse died. And then my dog died. So to try and stay happy through all that stuff, on top of all the stuff you're going through anyway, so yeah. And I believe that these pet food companies know full well what they're doing. I mean, there's a list if you look up the poisons in pet food. Just look up that list. That'll blow your mind, you know. Yeah, it's pretty terrible, and you think it would be illegal, but I mean, if they don't care what they put in our food, they're certainly not going to care what they put in our animals' food, you know? So, yeah. And I was going to mention that last week too, but yeah, it slipped my mind. And I think some of you have seen them reports how stuff is made, you know, and what they put in there is like the skin and the hair and the bones, and oh, it's just nasty. And to think when I was a little kid, I actually ate dog food at one point. I tried it, my friend and a milk bone. I had got some for my dog. Well, the first time was the neighbor kid and I had ate dog food. I mean, just like a piece of it, you know. We did some stupid things, you know. That was one of them. God knows what I was eating. It tasted almost like a cereal, but a little different. Yeah, that's the same kid. We started a fire in his grandma's garage. He had a dirt floor. It was a really old garage. And he had went in and got matches, and I was collecting sticks. I think I was 4, and he might have been 3.5. We were little people, and we started this fire, and it just got bigger and bigger, and it caught the garage on fire, and the fire department came, and later in years I became a junior firefighter. I have my badge for that, but I didn't know anything about it when that happened. Well, it was a little scary too. We didn't get in too much trouble because we weren't being watched, you know? It was the people that were supposed to be responsible for us that were irresponsible, so what do you do? You know, can't blame the kid. Well, they did, but I mean, you know, yeah, of course. So I wouldn't do it again, but I mean, yeah, I just didn't do it by myself, you know. This same guy, when he grew up and got married, I heard, I mean, from other people that lived around him, that he was working on his car in the city out in the street, and he had a couple of sons, and one of them had ran across the road to be with his dad or something. I can't remember how it happened, but he watched his own child get hit by a car. That's horrible. That would be, that would blow my mind. You know, that's like a freaking nightmare. It's like my adopted mom's mother not making sure all her children go across the road with her, but letting my mom lag, and a car came around the corner and plowed right into her and split her head open. And how can parents do that? Don't you think you're supposed to grab your children when you're going across the street? I don't care how many kids you have. I used to take 30 kids from a nursery school. I was 12 years old, and I'd take them across the street to go to the park, and I made them look both ways. I made sure all those children were across the road in the park before I went over, you know? And I took the little ones with me, you know? It's like, so how can parents be so ignorant, you know? If I could do that with over 2 dozen children, you know? Sometimes it was like 18 of them would go. It depended. Different days, some would be tired or sick or whatever, but and we didn't always go to the park if it was raining out. I'd read to them, or we'd be swimming and I'd be helping them in the pool or whatever. But yeah, you're responsible parents, you know, that's you can only learn that lesson once if your child dies, you know. So yeah, it's sad. Anyway, I might not have been the most perfect parent in the world, but I know I was better than most, um, if not all the ones I knew. You know, that's your most precious cargo on this planet. You have to take care of it. If you fail at that job, I don't think God's going to trust you doing anything else. He'd be like, I think you got to do this all over again because something went wrong here. You know, you weren't really thinking about your kid when that happened, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. People do weird things with their kids. They really do. Dangerous things. Teaching them dangerous things. Ignoring the things that they should teach them. You know, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, if anybody hears anything about that Native Affairs, if you run across a YouTuber talking about it or something, if you would let me know, I'd appreciate it. I'm still gonna try and investigate it a little bit because, yeah, it bothers me. I mean, people move in on their land, separate families. I mean, they literally kidnap the kids and they would sell them and put them in these Christian schools and force them to believe in beliefs that weren't their own, force them to speak a language that wasn't their own, stole everything that they owned, killed and raped women and children, and desecrated the men. I mean, it's still awful. I don't see that there's any reprimands or any, what would the word be, reprobation big enough to take all that away in my country. And now to hear that somebody that was supposed to be um, taking care of those affairs in our government for those people did more dirt on them, yeah, that's disturbing. And I'm somebody that even before I had knew I had Native in me, that would stick up for the Native people because I just didn't like the idea that they would say somebody discovered a country where people already existed. That's lunacy. It's more insanity. And the insanity's still being pushed like it's some kind of realism in the textbooks and the history books. That needs to be taken out of there, and the truth needs to be told. And what happened to the natives being taken over and bred with the Moors and the people over in England and all the stuff that went on, all of it really needs to be rewritten for the truth so people can know the truth of the history of the world. That's a big deal. That's where Jason of Archaics is, he's a master like that. Wow, that dude knows. He can rattle off timelines and things that happened in history that, I mean, you might know it and you might have even read it, but for him to just rattle this stuff off, it's super amazing. It's impressive, big time. Well, I'm gonna get this uploaded. It looks like it is going to storm, so if I don't do it now, I might not get it up there anyway. So, um, I appreciate y'all joining me. I hope you have a really good night or day wherever you're at. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.